Hey, Tony, I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, Matt, I certainly can. How you doing, man?
Good, good. Hey, I am going to share, hey, I don't know if you can see it. I'm sharing the screen for our COVID policy.
Right?
And I'm going to leave that up. I don't know if you probably can see me in the upper right and
I
then
can. Yeah.
that screen right here. So, but I'm gonna let people trickle in. I'm gonna grab a few more bites to eat. So, but glad you
Gotcha.
could join us, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Matt.
Looking forward to this discussion. I'm
Yes, sir.
gonna mute in case the cat starts calling or something like that.
Yeah, all the above.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Letting you all file in here early. I've got the COVID policy document that we're working on right now up, so you can look at that. And if you go into the last newsletter that we sent out, I think I sent it out on Monday night or Monday morning. That has a link to this document that you can pull up as well. But we're going to be going through this document today. And I'll actually put the link for this in the notes as well. I'll put it in the Let's see, where are comments? More chat. I'll put it in the chat. That's what it's called to everybody. Oops. Yeah, it's right there in the chat. Hey.
Oh. Okay, let me look. See if I have anything here.
There we go. Hey, everybody, more people are coming in, which is great.
Hi, Matt.
Hello. Hey, Dean. Hey, AJ. Hey, Patrick. Let's see, Susan here is Nancy's here. Wendy. Denise.
Matt.
Hi. And Chris and Peggy, hello.
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Denise, I've never seen your house. This is great. With your fancy lamp. It's fun to see curated environments for but mine is not curated except for,
Yeah.
let's see, you can see the kitty. This is the only curation
Oh.
I've done. So here's Sweetie Bells.
There's my refrigerator and pantry, my favorite places.
Oh yeah, no, you got to go with the favorites, Patrick. So
Yeah.
looks like Patrick might be going to a better place. Who knows? He just put his, no, it's in the same location. All right. Oh, you're muted, Patrick.
Whoops. I'll stay right here with my cup of coffee in the refrigerator. I'll try not to be in the refrigerator too much. I got to put away the bread if you want to see what's in there.
Yeah, if there's some good stuff there, we're coming over. We're going to get some food. So let's see. It's a lemon. You can make it as a drink.
Lots of eggplant
Hey, Matt.
from the garden. A watermelon from the garden. The tomato sauce and pesto I made in the last couple weeks.
Nice.
And now let's go with archaeology.
Yeah. Who is calling me out? Was that Susan?
No, it's Jay.
Oh, hey.
I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me.
I see you.
I see you.
Yeah, you might have your settings set to something where you can't see. If you go to the gallery view, Jay, there's the speaker view and then the gallery view. And if you have two screens, things can get really crazy. But my video's on. You can hear me though, right, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the important part. You don't need to look at me. There's nothing much to see. So. Hey, Will, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm fine. And yourself?
Good, good. Hey, Kevin.
How are you?
Good. Hey, Peter.
Hey, Matt.
There's Hannah from the field. Woohoo.
There's Chris.
And Sarah
Socially
Lee.
distanced. Hi.
Oh,
It's away.
see Chris in the background?
We just wanted to stop in and say hi. We're here, but we're working, so we're gonna turn our video off.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and the out there in the field, sometimes the strength of the signal isn't all that great. It's, those of you all that have tuned in to the Friday lives, sometimes things get a little crazy with the reception. So, but we'll give folks a couple more minutes to stroll in. Tried to get as many ways to communicate about this webinar, this Lunch and Learn today as possible. And the topic today, of course, is the programs under COVID and how we're going to be starting those and maintaining safety with everybody. And everybody might want to mute their line, because sometimes we get strange things like, well, it sounds like a clock timing or something like that. But and I see Nancy's joined. Hello, Nancy. How are you?
I'm fine. Can you see me?
Oh, I can. You definitely, I'm sure, have the most curated space, Nancy, from seeing your place in Philadelphia. So. Well, I don't know how many of you all had a chance to look at the document. We sent out an email. I think it was on Monday that contained the link to this webinar, and in that there's a link to a Google Doc for what we're working on for our COVID policy for the expedition programs. And this is a document that is in progress right now and is changing both in response to suggestions we've gotten, what's going on in the world today. I mean, what was going on 2 weeks ago is totally different than what is going on today. It's really changing as we move. And then also we're hoping that today we'll have with this hour-long Lunch and Learn, we'll have some really good review and input on what we're planning for the field. And to begin with, we're looking at doing all of our programs outside. Obviously, with a site that's not a problem, but usually we'll start the expedition programs inside in the lab. We'll have a lab in the lab. We'll do any of our lectures or in an inside space. We're going to eliminate all of that. We're not going to even have the lab open. We've got the lab open only for limited numbers of staff right now. Like Mary goes in there twice a week to clean things up and make sure everything is on the up and up. And the crew goes in there occasionally when they need shelter from the 1,000-degree heat that's out there. But it's not open to the public. And for the foreseeable future, we're not going to have the lab open for our expedition program. So I see a few more people have joined. Hey, Lucy, Tara, good to see you. Cindy, hi up there. So,
How are you?
Good. So what we're looking to do with our programs is to have all activities that are in person happen outside at the site. Use social distancing at the site, meaning everybody is going to have their own unit to work in, which means that we're going to have to reduce the number of people that are on programs to 8 individual units, which means if there's a couple that comes, they would count as 1 unit because they would be able to work together. If there are friends that have been socially isolating with each other and chose to be a unit together, they would be a unit. So the size that we're going for with the expedition programs is have everybody in 8 separate units, and then the maximum number of people would be 12 people. So that would be, for instance, and to do the math on with everybody looking at me might be a little bit much, but if there were 3 couples, that would be 6 people, and that would mean we'd only be able to have five other individuals come and no other couples, because we want to cap the programs at 12 people, just for, you know, when we give tours, and when if we're doing the main house tours, if we're doing the main house tours, that's something we are doing the main house tours right now at Montpelier, but it's something we're evaluating weekly, literally weekly, to understand what the risks are with that. And so any of the things that we normally do inside, we're going to be doing either over Zoom. So like just to give you kind of an example schedule, when, and this again, I'm talking about this very present tense and very much like this is what's going to happen, but we want feedback on this. This is my maleness coming through here. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, but this is meant to be like an open conversation. When at least a month out before everyone arrives, we're going to do a required Zoom webinar where everybody who's going to be on the program meets over Zoom, and we talk about the policy. You know, we talk about what to expect in the field, what we're expecting folks to do before they arrive on the program in terms of social distancing, and make sure that everybody's on the same page and everyone is comfortable. And our policy is that in this, if there's any individuals that are uncomfortable about what they would be experiencing on a program, that they would either be able to get a refund or move their deposit or their payment to another program, like, you know, 6 months to a year from now. So with, you know, with that month out discussion, we talk about, you know, everything we're going to be talking about today. And then sometime about a week out from the program, or maybe a couple of days out, we need to figure this out in terms of travel, that sort of thing, is we would do basically the opening meet and greet for all participants, but we do it over Zoom. And I would do my, my opening lecture, which would be establishing the context for what we're going to be doing on the program, the power of place, you know, as it relates to the site we're working on. And this is actually one of those silver linings, is that now that the world is familiar with Zoom, we can do this on a remote basis and do it before anybody arrives, and actually have people ask questions and understand more about the program before you even get here, which is super exciting. And because a lot of times people get here and they're like, oh my goodness, I wish I knew that I was going to be working on my knees for 2 weeks. Or a week. I would have brought my favorite knee pad. You know, it's all these things that we can talk about beforehand, which is exciting. Most of y'all that are here, though, have been doing this for years, so you know what to bring. So, but for arrival, when folks arrive in this case, I'm modeling the week-long program. When people arrive on Sunday night, what we would do on Sunday night is we would have a meet and greet dinner. I'm not sure if this would be in the South Yard over at Arlington House or somewhere outside. It would be not inside, but it would be outside. And the meals would be served, you know, on an individual wrapped basis. So we basically get takeout from a local restaurant. It would all be prepackaged, and people would have their own dishes, you know, like styrofoam paper containers they'd be eating at it. So there wouldn't be like a common area where everybody's, you know, handling the same silverware to fill their plates with food. It's all going to be socially isolated. And then Monday, we would start in with some of the opening tours, like in the South Yard, maybe do the main house tour at that time. Sarah Lee is working out some of the schedule right now. And obviously the details of these schedules we'll be talking about the week before, and you'll be getting all this information before that week before webinar. But then when we get to the site, how participants would be organized is they would be organized by unit. and there would be one staff member supervising 2 units at a social distance. So when people were interacting, talking with, with myself, Terry, Mary, Hannah, Taylor, or Chris, or any of the other staff like Dennis, it would be at the site, and during like dinners like with Sarah, we would be all masked and observing the 6 to 12 foot distancing rule. And so in the unit, this would be the same thing. Is anytime there was an interaction, everyone would need to be wearing their masks. When you're digging on your own and you know what you're doing, what the strata is, what you're coming down to, you wouldn't need to wear the mask, but it would be on you so you could put it up if necessary. For the unit protocol, the excavation unit protocol, everybody's going to have their own dig kit. They're going to have at their unit their own artifact bag. And these are going to be ones that that you will be the only one that will be touching those. So we're not going to have common touch areas. We're going to have every unit's going to have their own screen. Basically we're trying to get this so that there is absolutely, that we're not going to be doing the traditional passing around artifacts when we find something. So it is going to limit, obviously, the interaction we're going to have, between each other, between staff and expedition members. It's going to limit, the sharing of fines. We're working out a fines table where when we make a find that's exciting, like a tobacco pipe with a maker's name on it, it'll be put on a table and everybody can go and look at it. But the tradition of, hey, let's lick the artifact, and everybody can lick it and see how it sticks to your tongue. Not doing that anymore. So, but it's
know whether it's bone or not.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's bone, my tradition of biting it to see whether it's a plastic bead or a glass bead, that's not going to happen. And this is going to be,
I said, no more spitting on them.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be no more spitting on them. So, and this is going to be some hard things to change. I mean, this is ingrained in us to do. It's like part of our muscle memory. And so this is going to require a lot of change to really make effective. But it's really important to do, because what we want to do is, while when people arrive, we are going to require that if anyone has exhibited COVID symptoms or has had COVID, that they let us know, and there needs to be, the CDC recommendations, which I think is 10 days to 14 days of no symptoms and testing for COVID twice before coming to Montpelier.
Yeah, and Matt, this is Tara.
Yeah.
They the CDC just updated that this morning.
Okay.
It's actually varies by mild to severe cases now. They've separated them out. And if you were considered a quote mild case, then they recommend self-isolating up to only 10 days from the onset of symptom onset or end of a fever. And then if you're more severe, it's 20 days. So I'll send you the link so that you get the greatest and latest, because I think it's going to hit the news pretty soon.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Tara. This is exactly what we need. This is the document that we sent out, is one, again, that it's going to be changing from the discussion we're having today. But like you just mentioned, Tara, it's going to be changing on a weekly basis based on CDC recommendations, state recommendations, and what everything else. So basically, how we want to treat our programs is, even though we are we're requiring that people, when they arrive, are not have that 10-day, 14-day isolation from COVID symptoms or COVID. We want to treat each and every minute of the program with the understanding that anybody could have COVID and not be exhibiting symptoms, and observe the same social distancing that would minimize that risk. And so basically, our goal is to make the programs have all participants agree to run them in a way, and staff run them in a way so there is the minimal risk possible to everyone involved. And with understanding how COVID is transmitted, through speaking, through close interaction, where we want to minimize those risks, so that if anyone does exhibit symptoms or has COVID, we will have minimal exposure to that. So again, it means some drastic changes to the expedition programs. And I'll bring up the document now. I'll go ahead and share screens, and would love to, just have folks, if they have questions or comments, to share. I've got this document up on the screen right now. And actually, let me put the link to this. Copy link. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So if you go to the chat, here is the link to this document, so you can sign on and look at this as well. And feel free to put comments in this as well. But going through this, for pre-arrival, this is at the bottom here. Requirements for pre-arrival. All participants and staff who have had COVID-19 or would not be permitted to participate in our program unless they meet the following criteria: no fever, no respiratory symptoms. And with your recommendations, Tara, we're going to be changing this as well. I don't know why this is 3 days, which is from an earlier one. But yeah, we're gonna be updating this. And again, feel free to put comments in this. This is an open document that you want to have people put comments on. And we'd rather have it be comments, because that way we can see, who put them in there. We can ask questions about it. But for the program, we want to, during the program, when people are on site, we want to practice social distancing, and how it's defined is there. During the programs, this, again, we're going to be any activities that are within close proximity, everyone needs to wear masks. Our goal, is to be never be less than 6 feet apart. And that does need to be changed. Need to be never. I'm gonna have to change this, less than 6 feet apart. So this goes with, with this, all activities are going to be outside. All meals will take place outside. No indoor lectures, no indoor lab. Participants and staff will wear masks at all times. Unless there's 2 people in a unit that come from the same household. And does that make sense? So if you have talked, Tony and Tara, if you all had talked to each other before and decided between the 2 of you all that you wanted to work in a unit and be treated as essentially a unit household, you would let us know that. And then when you're working in the unit, you wouldn't have to wear a mask, and you could communicate, share artifacts and the like. But
I got the dry cleaners today.
But otherwise, like Tara and Tony, you'd be in separate units. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
Hey,
And so
Matt, I had a quick question. Yeah, I had a quick question for you, Tony, or maybe just a confirmation. You said you're going to have a kind of interview or pre-virtual meeting with all the participants of each expedition prior to. Mm-hmm. So would you be gaining their written acceptance or approval that they're going to abide by all of these rules?
Yes. Thank you, Tony. Absolutely. That's going to be part of the requirements of coming on a program, is we need to have everybody on the same page. So if for some reason you have a medical condition where you can't wear a mask, we'd have to wait to have you on the program until this COVID situation is figured out, like after a vaccine. So this is, there can't be any exceptions to this because it puts everyone at risk. And essentially, you know, the minute we have, I mean, we're doing these programs really with a trust fall with each other, and we're going to have to be very have no exceptions to the rules that we have.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Will you guys still be during this time inviting the children to participate in this too? With these rules, and obviously with the rules in place, but are you including kids this year?
We are, yeah. It would be, so if with minors who are accompanied by a guardian, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be, you know, just as we expect, and that's why, you know, we have the stipulation of, you know, folks being 11 or older, in the same way that we trust that, you know, young folks that are attending the programs aren't going to take artifacts and throw them across the site or put them in their pocket. We're going to trust that they'll follow the COVID procedures. And that's where, you know, we're no longer doing the day-long programs, because the day-long programs, there's not enough time to establish an esprit de corps among participants. On the day-long programs, that was, you know, designed to have children that were, I think, 5 and up, and just too young of an age. But for this, anyone that would be able to come on the 3-day or the week-long programs would still be able to come on those. Yeah. Does that answer the question, Tara?
Yeah, I just was gonna make sure I was looking at this with an eye towards that age group too, and the parents and all that.
Yeah, we're essentially treating, like we always do, any participant, regardless of age, as a team member and a representative of Montpelier, and expect the same, you know, level of professionalism that we would do from anyone, including staff. So it's, you know, it's a commitment to be part of the team. And in this case, the commitment of being part of the team is, you know, not just following archaeological protocol, but following safety protocol, because that allows teamwork to happen.
Great, thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Tara. I hadn't thought of that, but it's it's something we need to, you know, to include in this as well. So thank you.
Matt, I have a question.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be difficult to conduct a lab program in at least the traditional way of doing it in, say, February or March, like the last one.
Yeah.
Is that true? Do you think the lab program will it be able, is there a possibility it can evolve somehow so it could be done outside?
I don't think so. We are, right now we're moving the February lab program that we were going to hold in 2021 to later in the spring, with the understanding if there is no vaccine, that's not going to be held. We were going to do the fiber and fashion this fall. We just, you know, literally Sarah Lee and I were talking about this morning. We just canceled that one. And so there's, once you move inside, the risk is too great. There is a possibility if we, you know, in running we're going to have a field lab, you know, where there are programs. And if we can develop the field lab to the point where we could do something socially distanced outside as a lab program, we would do that. But it's not in the offing right now. Thank you, Dean.
Hey, Matt, questions, Tony. So I'm looking down at the metal detecting expedition, which you're showing scheduled for November the 8th through the 13th, but yet I don't see any guidelines on this paper yet that so will you be developing one for that? Because you know this gets pretty close on these grids, especially if you're working in teams and stuff. So.
We are flying by the seat of our pants right now, Tony, and we are, that is next. I mean, we need to, that is something that is going to be you're right, it's going to be a completely different document. is going to be, we'll need to make a decision on that. I mean, we're going to look at it and would love your recommendations, and we could talk to you about this offline, but it might not be possible to do that.
Yeah, that I can appreciate and understand that completely.
So, yeah, so let's see. Yeah, and then going down the document for like 2E right here, during outside tours, a 12-foot spacing will be enforced to allow participants. And actually, we literally just changed this. Will be enforced. But period. We're going to be wearing masks during tours. People need to be 6 feet. Again, literally, this document is changing as conditions change, and we're just going to need to be stricter about this. For excavation units, all excavation units are going to be 15 feet from each other. One household will be assigned to each unit. Only fill the bucket so you can lift it to the screen by yourself. There is going to be a wash station at the site. We're going to need to work that out with a hose connection. Probably have a step valve for that so people can wash their hands. And then staff members will supervise units from a minimum of 6 foot distance. And I'm going back and forth between 6 and 12 feet in this document. What's your all's feel on that? Anybody have if you're wearing a mask, what is the distance?
Yeah, it's Tara. I'm thinking 6 feet. I mean, I'm a biologist. I'm not a microbiologist or an epidemiologist or a public health specialist, but most of the things that I've been participating in have been 6 feet. Our offices, well, we're not back at work yet, but we're talking about 6 feet. And that's for, the other thing you want to consider is, well, I'll tell you, we went out and did some outdoor events where typically it was like this, where the staff would interact one-on-one. Mm-hmm. They kept their 6 foot distance and put a lot more of the responsibility of the gear, like you're about to do, on the participants after a long video and detail this and that. But they also had face shields for their own staff, the plastic ones to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And I thought as a participant on the other side that was fantastic. And they never got closer than 6 feet, but they called it our little bubble. So everywhere that I've been, which is not a lot of places, but outdoors at least, it's been 6 feet, very professional, and these face shields to protect their own staff. That's
a really good idea. The face shields are something that, it provides protection for
them.
For them, but and it also provides protection for your eyes as well, which is good.
Yeah, and it's may seem extreme to some people, but these guys were very professional, and it gave me the feeling that they were taking this seriously. They were being safe. They were still interested in working with us, though, but that it set a tone, and it was really nice.
And you can see facial expressions if you're not wearing masks under. That would be something. Yeah, Sarah Lee, has anyone doing tours been wearing face shields instead of masks?
I have not seen that. I personally agree that it's a great way for staff to come across as well. I've not seen any face shields, but one of the things I noticed that when I've been giving tours, my eyebrows have been going like double time tap dancing on my face because I want people to see expression, because it makes everybody feel more comfortable in a situation. So I'm for it.
Cool.
I agree with the face shield. I think they're great. Same thing, because it allows people to see facial expressions, and most of them are so lightweight. I bought one. You don't even know you have it on. It's
wow.
And with the mask, it's super protective.
Yeah.
You could do both. In fact, this place that I was at had both. They had the mask and the shields.
Right.
But you might want to do the research on what's better or what's acceptable. But in terms of the 6 foot, I felt comfortable with 6 foot, especially if you've got masks and face shields.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything further away.
And outdoors, sure.
And
And
outdoors.
outdoors.
Yeah, right.
I've also seen masks that
We lost the last bit, Lucy.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, still can't hear you, Lucy. Sorry. If you maybe type it in, Lucy. If you type it into the chat.
I think she means masks with a clear inset so that one can see lips.
Oh, that's cool.
Exactly. Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, like speech therapists and people use these, and it's just, you know, a little clear plastic window over your mouth. That's also an option. I mean, it's not as great as the face shield, but it's
my sister,
another
who's
thing
a
to
teacher,
consider.
has bought one. She teaches fifth graders, and she has some autistic students, and she's thinking it will help tremendously. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I've seen those in use with sign language interpreters as well.
But, and so how does everyone feel about the 6 foot spacing with either face shields or masks? Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Feels good to me.
That's good.
Okay, cool. Then I will go through and change that. So I know that 6 foot is standard, but I wanted to see where people were, where they were at. So I wanted to leave both options in there, but we'll go to 6 feet. And if anybody, in any of this, if anybody wants to contact me after this, drop me an email and then we could talk about any of these topics. So the other, where we're at with, for the hands-on portion of the program, there'll be no common touch surfaces. And this is what we were talking about earlier. We're looking at avoidance of mixing touch surfaces assisted by color coding, and have to see if that's even necessary, because if the distance is maintained and each unit has its own screen, I don't know if color coding would be necessary, but it's something we could easily do. So each excavation unit would have its own dig kit, and every participant and staff would have their tools and items labeled. Excavation units would have their own lab kit with items with a no-touch policy. That would include the artifact bag. I'm taking this out. We looked at that. We're gonna use shaker screens at the site and roller screens. We're just gonna have screens per, each unit would have its own screen. So each unit has its own artifact bag. During hands-on activities, this is literally changed yesterday. With having common screens, that is not or having not common screens, that's not an issue. Everybody's going to be assigned their own chair, like for lunchtime, and you'd probably keep that at your unit as well. Less commonly touched surfaces. If there are any common touch surfaces, which the only place I can think of that would be is Mary is going to have a field lab. So there would be tables that people would be working on. And then when we're done, everybody would be, by team would be in the lab under the tent for about 6 hours, and everybody would be assigned their own table. When you're done with the field lab, you would wipe down your table and you'd bring your chair back. So you're gonna have a chair that you'll be hauling around with you, but it's one of our little folding chairs. Or if anybody has a favorite chair, they could bring that as well, which would be even better. That'd be super recognizable. The toilet out at the visitor center, for those of y'all that have been at the overseer's house, you know that we usually all hop in the gator and go up to the visitor center to use the restroom. Since, we're not gonna be able to all hop in the gator and then wipe the whole thing down or even be in the gator together, we're gonna have a porta-john at the site. And if anybody needs to drive to the visitor center and wants to use the facilities there, they would need to get in their car and drive to the site, or could walk to the visitor center. And the visitor center is is that right now the visitor center bathrooms are, people are going in there one at a time and locking the door, and people are observing, their own no handling and washing procedures in the bathroom. They get washed 2 or 3 times a day. But with a porta-john, since it, the beautiful thing about a porta-john is I have never met anyone who goes into a porta-john that wants to touch all the surfaces. When you're in a porta-john, you want to daintily touch the door in as little place as you can. It's just ingrained in porta-john etiquette. And when you go in, you're not taking the seat with both hands and putting it up and down. It's very delicate. So I think the porta-john will be a no-touch policy in and of itself. So, and we'll try to have it in the shade so it will not become a sauna. So that's a traditional porta-john at a site, is that wonderful green hot box that you go to, continue your evacuating your body of any impurities. So, but we'll have it in a shaded area. And I do want to have like I said, have a wash station at the site. This week I'm bringing my dowsing rods out to find where the stupid water line is that's been lost out at Mount Pleasant. For those of y'all that remember years ago at Mount Pleasant, Cindy, you're one of these, and Nancy, and I think that, because Denise, you weren't there then, but we did water screening at Mount Pleasant, and there's a hose out there, but the valve has been lost. So I'm going to use my dowsing skills that I gained from my dad to find that water line in the valve. Well, that'll allow us to have a wash station out there. And if anybody has any good ideas for a foot-operated pedal for a valve, I would be all over that. And if anybody's seen that, let me know. And any ideas on any of this stuff, we are all game. So paperwork is going to be done differently. Terry already gave a preview into that with our paperless paperwork. We're going to be recording everything on an iPad. So the staff member who's supervising the two units, they'll be keeping track of all the paperwork. And that's going to be one of the areas where it's not going to be possible to have people participate in the iPad recordation process. Because with an iPad, it's like, this big. I can't even see it from a foot away, or 2 feet away, and that's just too close proximity. We could do this virtually later on to show you all what that involves. And this is something where, with the wonders of Zoom technology, at the end of the day, we can always initiate a Zoom session, impromptu at the end of the day, to go into the air conditioning or go into warmth. Everybody at their own spot to talk about any of these things and to go over artifacts, to go over paperwork. So again, the silver lining on this is that with Zoom, we can get into a lot more details on things than we normally would. Let's see. For the field lab, all activities are going to be held outdoors under a tent at our field lab. Tables will be spread out to ensure proper distancing. Everyone will be required to use hand sanitizer, wash hands before entering and before leaving the field lab. All tables, chairs, equipment, artifact displays will be wiped down when entering and leaving the lab. And then everyone will be issued their own common lab equipment. Wash basins, colander brushes, dental picks, Sharpies, and pencils, and wear a mask while working in the field lab. And that's just because of close proximity. And we can, again, the having the face shields would be a really nice part of this. In fact, I'm going to try to get a face shield before I give my tours this weekend.
I have a question about the field lab, Matt, when you have time. Is that going to be part of all the excavation programs?
That'll be part of all the excavation programs. Absolutely.
So sort of a way of handling the artifacts that have been found and working a little bit with them?
Yeah.
What is a field lab going to be? I mean,
field lab is going to be a tent out at the site. So it's going to be out at the overseer's house site, and it will be a 20 by 20 tent that we set up. So, and this does bring up the situation in the event of either a heavy rainstorm or a lightning storm. We're going to have to evacuate the field. We're going to have to not work that day. So this is going to present some special challenges. I think that we could meet with Zoom sessions where myself, Terry, Mary, other staff could do either special lectures that we could have in the can, or impromptu ones where you all could be like, hey, we want to know about the paperwork, or like, Matt, you've already always told us about the sites you worked on in Jamaica. Can we talk about that for an hour or so, and then take a break? And then Mary could do her ceramic lecture and have a virtual artifact handling session over Zoom. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do this. And one thing that I am super excited about is we have applied for a grant from the Institute of Museum Library Services to allow us to create a hybrid field model where we'll actually be able to be in the field and have the unit where one of the units we're excavating be recorded, and to be able to have, say, Wendy, you could tune in on one of the expedition programs that's happening in September, so you could know what's going to happen in October when you come out for an expedition program. So there's as we move forward with this, we're going to be developing more and more hybrid activities that will fill, those 2 days where we have an electrical storm at the site. I don't see us ever, running out of things to talk about. And everybody knows, Matt with no time barrier can talk for 3 hours. So you're like, oh my God, Matt, stop. We all have to eat and go to the bathroom. So, so yeah, there's all, we are, this is going to, I'm viewing this, we're all viewing this as an opportunity we're excited about.
Where are people going to stay?
That is actually, you're getting into the next part, which is awesome, Dean. Let me look through this. Community happiness, adhere to the policies, household members defined. They've talked about this. For housing, yeah, that we are still going to use Arlington House, but we're going to need to limit Arlington House to 3 rooms where either an individual is staying or a household is staying. So like a good example of this is, with work study for Denise and Nancy, if you all decide, hey, we want a room together in the blue room, y'all can room together in the blue room and have your own bathroom. So the possibility is we could have upwards of 6 to 7 people at Arlington, defined as 3 separate households. But normally it's probably just going to be 3 people in their own rooms. And then we're also, Sarah Lee is working out the ability to use the village and when that would be available. And that will be on a program by program basis, depending on what the center, what other programs are happening at Montpelier. So yeah, but same, COVID policy there is, social distancing and giving people space. Did that answer your question, Dee?
Yes.
Okay.
Matt, I have a question. Because it's going to be limited housing, I, for example, have a camper van that's totally self-contained. Could I bring that and park that at the Arlington House driveway area and sleep there?
Only if you let me come in and look at it, Wendy, because I would love to see it. It sounds amazing. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, all right. That sounds very cool. So it's not a trailer; it's a camper van. Right. It's just a van that I've recreated into, the bed and a toilet and a little kitchen area. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. That is, if you look at my YouTube video watch list, it has all these camper van guys. So cool. Yeah, that is actually, I'm going to add that to the list. Like if anybody has a camper van, absolutely welcome to park it. I'll get with Elizabeth too, and we can figure out places that those could be parked where you could have an electric hookup and a water hookup. Okay. Yeah.
I have a question, Matt, about Arlington House.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of being there for the October program. At that point, will we be able to open windows? I've never tried to open a window at Arlington House. Do they open for ventilation?
That I could go in and look and open them and make sure that there are ones that are safe to open. Some are very fragile. The worst accidents we've had at Arlington is where somebody's opened a window and then opened up their wrist, and I don't want to do that again. Somebody ended up putting their head through a window, but that was a very different situation. There.
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
okay.
we corrected. So, but yeah, we could do that. I'd rather have it be that the air conditioning system we have in place be used, but you could absolutely. There are exceptions we make for our folks, Peggy. So yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Thanks.
Matt, it's Tony. I tell you, after being down to Arlington House numerous times, I mean, I applaud you and your staff for all this work that you've put together. I think it's a great opportunity to still come down and have these different digs and sessions and all, and it looks like you've done a really excellent job in trying to keep everybody protected while participating. The Arlington House, I think, is going to be the biggest challenge for housing just because of the common areas. It makes sense limiting the number of people into the rooms that have access to the restrooms and all, but you still got quite a few common areas, kitchen and things like that, that's going to have, I mean, all of a sudden now you're putting together numerous people into close contact, and utilizing the same counters, sinks, and stuff like that. That seems like that's going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah, thank you, Tony.
Just from a personal standpoint. So.
Yeah, for Arlington, we would, and this is, be at the Village as well. We are going to have rules in place about those common areas that we're going to need to recommend that people do not cook at Arlington. That there's plenty of restaurants in Orange. You can go out and get meals. Meal prep. For Arlington, the Hannah and Taylor live at Arlington in the lower level, and their habitation in the lower level is basically going to be a sealed off space from the rest of Arlington. There'll be no communication between their living space and the rest of Arlington. Which means we're not going to be able to use the washer dryer. Participants will not be able to use the washer and dryer anymore. If there are any issues that come up at Arlington, participants are going to contact either myself or Mary, and then we'll resolve those. So that Hannah and Taylor would not be involved in any of the management of Arlington. And we're for the use of this, we've got a document we're working up now. You can see this right here, and I need to go back and look at this because I've not looked at it since I was on vacation a week and a half ago. But we're going to need to look at not using common areas. I mean, it's going to have to be basically like a hotel.
Okay, because if so, then who would be responsible for sanitizing after someone goes in and uses the kitchen area per se? Would that be the participant, or would that be staff? It's just that.
It would be participants. It would absolutely be participants. I mean, this is as you know, because you're bringing this up, Tony. I appreciate it that we don't have on staff cleaning staff. So that's going to need to be taken care of by participants.
Okay.
So, and that would be part of the esprit de corps. I mean, that's an agreement that if you're staying in Arlington House and you're using a common area, you'll clean it afterwards to maintain the sanitation of the space. And I think that's pretty easy. I don't think that's going to be anybody that comes on an archaeology dig is not going to mind doing that. It's just if you don't like cleaning the counter, the amount of of protocol we have in an excavation unit would make it so you'd never want to come on a dig. So,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
that's the beauty. Anyone that comes on an archaeology dig is almost predisposed to do all this, which is great. And it makes it I think it's going to make it's going to make the muscle memory a challenge, but not the protocols, because everybody is used to protocols at a site. I mean, that's why our programs have been so successful. People come in the programs because they're interested in the protocols. They're interested in working as a team. The teamwork, the esprit de corps, the laughter, the camaraderie is all part of this. That is still part of what these programs are. But it's done, usually using social distancing.
Agreed. Thanks.
Yeah. No. Well, again, thank you, Tony, for bringing that up, because that's something, all this is the purpose of this whole discussion and it's great that we've got well, I can see how many participants we have. I think we have about 25 people here, which is great. This is an advisory board, if you will, on the expedition programs, and the collective experience we have on this is like we're going into hundreds of years of collective experience on expedition programs, which is great. And with me aging myself with that, so.
This is Cindy. I have a question.
Yeah.
So in Arlington House, I get the point about not cooking dinners, just, people do takeout, but a lot of people are either prepping their lunches or trying to get something together for breakfast. So
that's my question. Yes.
How do you expect breakfast and lunch to work?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's something that's where we're limiting the number of people in Arlington, and it might be, that we need to limit it even more, Cindy, so that like if there was a family that wanted to use Arlington House, I mean, so like say if to go back to the example of Nancy and Denise on the work study program, we're going to need to work out times where Nancy and Denise use the kitchen, clean it up, and then it's ready for Zach and Jeff. But Zach and Jeff never interact with Nancy and Denise in the kitchen, which would probably be good anyways, given the history of work study. So this is all but yeah, and that's why three groups in Arlington is all that can be handled, like 3 individuals or 3 household units, and that's where the household unit really is an accurate term for it. And at the village, it would be the same thing as well. So that makes me realize I got more work to do in that household document. So thanks, Cindy.
Matt, I'm wondering, does that make it then maybe less problematic for those who could to get Airbnb out in Orange somewhere, and will you provide links for that?
Yeah, I'm sure. Sarah Lee, I see your eyes perking up at that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We could get there are Airbnbs in Orange that we could provide links to, and I love what Wendy said about this could be a new camper trailer excursion, so which would be very cool.
And I actually have already done a lot of research for Airbnbs in the Orange area in the hopes to try and make suggestions for people. In fact, there is an incredible interpreter at Montpelier who has an Airbnb right in the middle of Orange. And she even was willing to work out deals because it's with Montpelier Archaeology participants. So there are actually some options. So if there is anybody interested in that, I got you. I can help.
My one concern is that for some of us, adding the cost of an Airbnb would make it prohibitive to come.
Yeah, Debbie, that's where I really want to preserve Arlington as a space that can be used, because it does make the programs affordable. And that's where if anyone has has creative suggestions like you had, Wendy, of bringing your camper van, that's awesome. So, but yeah,
It all comes.
Yeah. Hi, Tanya. How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Oh, you broke up.
I said we come to your house and stay.
Well, we could do some pre-arrangements, and absolutely. So we, with the kids all gone, I think Tess will be. Well, she's heading out west in a week for some isolation in the wilderness. But there's a possibility of that as well. So we have had people staying at the Reeves abode before. And I've never charged for that. So yeah, you have to pass the Tanya test. That's my wife, Tanya. So
that's fine. I think since we share the same name, I think I'll be okay.
You'd be a shoo-in, Tanya. So
do I understand correctly that in August you're going to have some students from James Madison University to be test subjects for all of this?
Yeah, I don't know if they'd want to be called test subjects for this, but absolutely, yeah, and it's super nice because the two faculty members who are bringing the students we've worked with for the past 3 years, and they are helping us organize. There'll be 11 students that'll be on the program, and we're able to have 11 students because they're going to be divided into 2 separate teams of a maximum of 6 each, and it's going to be since everybody in that team knows each other and has been working together as students, there's going to be household units that can work together there. So it's going to be a fun experiment on all this. And the nice thing is these students are, getting ready to head back to campus. So there's some of the protocols, pre-arrival protocols that we're pulling from various universities and their suggestions, like University of Richmond, JMU.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
What are the registrations looking for the fall programs?
Those are, how do you mean, Jay? What are they looking for?
Well, I mean, I have not, registered for any of the fall programs. Obviously, they've just come up, and you're just letting us know that they're going to be starting again. So, I mean, can people still register for those, or are they filled up, or?
No, you can register. Absolutely. That's, I'll have Sarah Lee will send you the links to that. We sent out a newsletter just recently that has the link to that. If you go to www.montpelier.org/dig and then go to the expedition section, the dig section, all those are listed. So
yeah, and I've seen them. I was just curious as to, are they filling up?
The one that is at the end of August, we have just 2 slots available. And then the work study one, we maybe have 1 slot available. We got to see what the household unit is in that one. And then the one that is in October, we've got a number of slots available. So yeah.
Okay.
And for the spring programs, we're actively reworking those right now. We're looking to, we've got quite a few 3-day programs in the spring that we're going to make into week-long programs. What we want to do is reduce the number of programs that we have, because that reduces risk for everybody. And whether you're here for 3 days or a week, it's the same amount of exposure. So per individual.
Right.
So, and then again, we're, like you mentioned, Dean, we're looking at the February lab program not having that. And because it's, having an outdoor lab in February, I don't think anybody would like it. So that would be the water freezing. You have to break the ice out of the tray when you wash the artifacts. So.
One thing I would like to mention is that since I have been on several expeditions, and maybe other people would feel the same way, for things like the house tour or other things that are inside in close quarters that have been a regular part of the expeditions, I would happily volunteer to skip those during the time of COVID, so that maybe you wouldn't have as many people to deal with for things like that.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. That absolutely, that would be an option. So, and again, for the house tours, we need to see if that is, going to be happening. So that's, all dependent. It's week to week. We're looking at that. Like, I think we're doing them this weekend, but I'm not absolutely certain. So,
Matt.
Yeah.
Could I go back to a question on the document that you sent?
Yeah.
This is a very important question. It says on there that no alcohol. Does that just mean no alcohol will be provided as part of our meals, or does that mean no alcohol inside at all?
No alcohol during the meals, and it's that is basically looking at CDC recommendations and its patterns of behavior. When people drink, they become more relaxed socially, and then social distancing decreases. So so for our closing reception, we won't have alcohol, but as soon as that's over, you can hit the bottle, Denise. Absolutely. So.
Yay.
Well, 4 too, right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, well, I actually have a 1 o'clock 5-year planning meeting. I'm going to need to head to. Does anybody, and if anybody has any discussion they would like to have with me privately, please let me know, and we can do a phone call or a Zoom call. If you want to put comments in the document, would be forever grateful. That would be great. If you want to email us, either Sarah Lee or myself or any of the other staff, let us know. It'd be great to have as many comments and feedback as possible. But thank you all so much for joining and helping us with this. This is a huge help, and the fact that we have so many people on this call, it really makes us feel that we can do this successfully. And that no one has hung up and been like, you all are crazy to try to do this. So, and if you do feel we're crazy, in all seriousness, let us know. I mean, we do want to know that. I'm not diminishing that. If there are concerns, I do want to hear this, because I know in a public setting like this.
Keep up the good work and leadership, Matt. It's great. We've got to get out there and take the initiative on stuff like this. So, thanks for reaching out to us and being leaders in it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Tara. Thank you, everybody. Really, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you all. So.
Yeah, I really wanted to add my thanks. I know that a lot of you have been waiting on information from me, and it seems very sparse, but that is, as Matt said, it's because we're figuring it out, and I've been more afraid of giving misinformation before we finalize things. So I really appreciate everyone's patience. You've all been amazing as I've learned how to do this job during this time. So I wanted to give my personal thanks to how awesome everybody's been. So thank you.
Yeah, very relevant point. Thanks, Sarah Lee. It's every week I'm telling Sarah Lee different things, and she's like, Matt, was I supposed to know this? I'm like, no, I just talked to Terry and Mary about this yesterday. She's like, oh, thank goodness. Okay, so all right. Well, thanks everybody. Really good seeing everybody, and thanks for the suggestions. And we'll talk to you all soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye everybody.
Bye everybody.
Bye.